We got our first lesson going today, and basically all we're going to talk about is what are the basic parts of geometry. Okay? Specifically, points, lines, and planes. And they're going to make up everything we do in geometry. And it's going to make up all our different shapes, it's going to make up our angles, everything. So, I know you guys all know what a point is, but I don't know if you know the geometric definition of a point. It's literally a location. That's it. So that's the first thing you got to copy down on that blank. A point is just a location, and every geometric figure is made up of points. So lines are made up of points, so are planes, so are segments, so are any shape you look at.
Made up of a point?
Made up of points, a series of points. Okay, now, points do not have any size because they're literally just a location. What does a point look like? That. That's it. Okay. Usually what will happen is there's a letter next to it. It's capitalized. That part's kind of important. It's capital letters. How do you name it? I'm not super particular here. You just write the letter P. I'm happy. I know you're talking about point P. If you want to be fancy and write the word point in front of it, that's fine too. If you want to actually put a point and write P, that's fine too. But just the letter P is good enough for me. All right. Your next vocab word is space.
Pardon the interruption, Lawrence High School. This message is for any student who did not pick up their laptops in the library. They can be picked up in the technology office across from room 319. Again, any student that did not pick up their laptops from the library can pick them up in the technology office across from room 319. Thank you.
Okay, so space is essentially a set of all points in the entire universe. And a locus is just a group of points. You will probably not really see these words anymore, but they're in your textbook, so I put them in your notes. Okay, so if you see the word space, it just refers to all points in the universe. And locus is just a group of points or a set of points. Now into your line. Okay, what do you notice that line has on the ends of it?
Arrows.
Arrows. What do arrows mean?
It goes on forever.
Very good. So it never has any end or any beginning. Therefore, it doesn't have a length either. Okay. It's comprised of points. This green line that I have up here, you can see 3 specific points on it, A, B, and C, but there are a lot more points on it than that. They're just the 3 that are labeled. Okay. Also notice this thing right here. That's a lowercase script letter. You can use that lowercase script letter to name the line. It's not a point, okay? It doesn't have the dot there, and it's not a capital letter. But it can be used to kind of like be shorthand to name the line. So if I wanted to name this line, I could call it line T. Or to name a line, you pick 2 points that are sitting on the line and use the line symbol. So an example would be AB with a little line guy over it. Did I have to pick AB? No, I could have picked B and C if I wanted to. And the order doesn't matter. I could call it CB, I could call it CA. As long as those 2 points are on the line, it works. What I do not want you to do is what people want to do all the time. I put 3 letters there, right? So people always want to name it line. They always want to name it line A, B, C. That's a no-no. 3 letters are reserved for planes. That's why you don't want to use all 3 letters. You just want to pick 2. Follow? So 2 letters only. Okay. Next vocab word is collinear. Let's think about this for a minute. You see the word co, and you see the word linear, right? What does linear refer to? A line. What does co remind you of?
2. Run in line.
Keep going with that.
A little more.
Working together.
Working together, perfect. So co-linear is together on a line. So just pick the word apart, and that's exactly what it means. 2 or more points that sit together on a line. So in this lovely picture here, who can name me a pair, which is 2, points that are sitting on the same line? A and B, perfect. There's a pair. How about another pair? Well, we already said A. Oh, AP. A and P. Good, that's my little and symbol. Go ahead.
C and D.
C and D.
Maybe different, Jack.
Okay, you get the point? Yes.
Oh, good.
Get the point.
CP.
C and P. So, lots of options.
Wait. D and B.
Yes, D, are D and B on the same line?
D and B.
D and P, yes. I thought you said B.
BP. DMP.
Yep, B and P are on the same line. We didn't do that pair either. Okay. That's easy. Okay, the one thing that's going to be a major change from Algebra 1 to geometry is vocab. Vocab is essential in geometry because if you don't know what the words mean, you can't answer the question. So if you didn't know that collinear meant on the same line, if I say, name 2 collinear points, how would you know what kind of points to name me? Right? All right, segment. So a segment is actually just a portion of a line. It's like a smaller piece. The difference between a line and a segment is a line has a beginning dot and an end dot. Those dots are called endpoints. So you can see this one's named segment AB because the endpoints are A and B. Since this one has a beginning and an end, you can actually measure it. When you name a segment, you have to use the endpoints. Okay? And you would put a segment symbol on top. So for the line, it has the arrows. For the segment, no arrows. If there was a point C here, you couldn't use it. Because segment AC would denote a different segment than AB. So segment AC would just be that portion, and I wouldn't get the whole thing. Does that make sense? Okay, and then here's your plane. What shape does that look like? Parallelogram. Okay, when you draw a plane, typically it looks like a parallelogram. If you draw a rectangle or a square, I don't care. It's all the same. Okay? A plane goes on forever as well, just like a line. So that's the reason they make it slanty, because really this plane, the board itself here with the plane, it would go like out through this side of the wall, out through that side of the wall, out past my windows, and out the other way. It goes on forever. And that's the whole slanty part. Okay? But two-dimensionally, it's going to look like a rectangle or a parallelogram. How do you name it? Well, the first thing I want you guys to do is you need to add me a little point on there. Because we can't name it properly without that little point. So, just like we can name a line with that little lower script letter, here's a capital script letter Q. You can name a plane with that. So this could be called plane Q. Okay, if you don't have that, because they don't always name them, they don't always put that on there. Okay, you need 3 non-collinear points. All right, so you learned what a collinear point was. What's a collinear point? Okay, so then what would non-collinear mean? Bingo. So you need to pick 3 points that are not on the same line, hence point S there. So give me 3 points not on the same line.
T and S.
And, all right, TSR. That's a good name. Did you have to pick TSR? No. Maybe you want to name it plane RUS. That's fine. Or switch the letters around. SRU, URS, whatever. Okay? As long as it's 3 points that are not on the same plane. So what is the name I would, or I'm sorry, not on the same line. What's the only name I couldn't use?
TRU.
Right, because they're all on that same line. that wouldn't work out. Okay? So just like we had collinear, now we have coplanar. What do you think coplanar means?
On the same plane.
Yeah, so co, together, plane, or on the same plane. So this time we can either use 2 lines on the same plane, or more, 2 points or more on the same plane. All right, so we want to name a pair of coplanar points. Before we do that, I want to point out something, because sometimes it's hard to see 2-dimensionally. And trust me, if I tried to draw this, I don't know that I could draw it very well for you guys to understand. That line right here, see this line? What's the name of that line?
On the origin.
What's the little lowercase letter?
It's an R.
It's an R. I know, it's a little hard to see. It's an R. It's a little lowercase r. So that line has these little dots here, and it's kind of a different color, right? They're trying to show you that that line is actually doing this. Like, say this is my plane here. Okay. What's the name of that plane? What's the big script letter?
R.
R. Okay.
Big R.
So that's plane R.
This guy?
This is line R. So what is line R actually doing?
Interscaling it.
Right, intersecting it. What point is that line intersecting it at? Okay. So then my question would be, is A actually on the plane?
No.
No. So can everybody see kind of how that works now? It's 2-dimensional drawing, but you got to think 3-dimensionally. Okay. So name a pair of coplanar points. Pair is 2, don't forget. E and D, yep, they're on the same plane. Good.
B and C.
B and C, good. Another pair?
E and F.
E and F, sure. All right, and we could keep going, but we don't need to. We just said a pair.
Does that have to be on the same line? I can just be.
Nope, just on the same. This one says planar, so just on the same plane.
So you could do like B and E.
Yep, very good. Okay, they're both sitting on plane R. They're not on the same line, but that's okay. They're both on the same plane. What about a pair of coplanar lines? P and Q, right. And if you didn't want to use the P and Q and you wanted to call them like line BC and line ED, that's fine too. Questions on collinear or coplanar? Hunter, you still with us? I knew you were. I know it's hard. I'm going to have to start using like first initials or last names. Okay. This is a geometry rule. 2 lines intersect at a point. Okay? That's all they can intersect at it. Because lines have to be what?
Continuing.
Continuous, but what else?
Straight.
Straight. Like, because I can't make a line like that, right? That wouldn't be considered a line now, would it? So since lines have to be straight, for them to crisscross, they can only crisscross at one point. Where do these lines crisscross? Can you see it on your paper? I know it's really small. X. Okay. Another geo rule. 2 planes are going to intersect at a line. Okay? So you can see here I have a green plane and I have a purple plane. Yes.
Answer it.
Go ahead, what do you
S
think?
and T.
Right. So you would call it line ST. Okay? There's the connection. Now, a lot of you will be like, well, wait a minute. There's like a point and a point, and I can kind of see like a segment, but how is it a line? Remember, planes go on infinitely. Can I draw infinitely on the board?
No.
No. So there's going to be an end to it 2-dimensionally. That's why it looks like it stops, but it doesn't really stop per se. So 2 planes are going to intersect at a line. 2 lines are going to intersect at a point. All right, let's try a couple examples, and we've done our first set of notes. Now, this time, I have a lot of planes going on. Can you guys tell me how many planes are there? 6, right? So that ice cube kind of looks like this tissue box. So you got right top and bottom, left and right, front and back. So that's essentially what this is doing. And it says there are points H, E, and F collinear. Well, what does collinear mean?
Same line.
Okay, so here's H, here's E, here's F.
No.
No, why not?
Different
That's far
lines.
away.
Right, two different lines. Are points H, E, D, here's D, and F coplanar? Why not?
Because D's far away.
How about not on the same plane?
Even if it would have been J, would have been right?
Right, if it was G, then it would have been a yes. Very good. Name the plane represented by the front of the ice cube. So that's the front. How many points do I need?
3.
3. So I'd call it plane A, E, sure. If you want to tack on the B, that's fine. A lot of times you will see if it's like a square, the plane is like a square and it has all those points on the ends, they just use the points on the ends. So sometimes you will see a plane named with 4 letters, and that's okay too. If you stopped at F, I'm cool. If you want to do all 4, that's cool too. Okay, now, where do planes HEFG and plane AEFB intersect? So ABFE is marked off in my blue. I'll do HEFG in yellow. Where are they touching?
One unit.
Right, and it's a line because 2 planes intersect the line. So it'd be EF with a line symbol. Now, going back to the question itself, look at the question. What do you notice? Look at the names of the planes. What do you notice?
They both have E and F.
Yeah. Don't they both have an E and F in it? That's a clue as to the name of the line that intersects. So use that. Okay. Where do line B, C, and AB intersect? B. Use the same clue. What do they have in common?
B.
B. Okay. Also, you can draw in. Here's BC. Here's AB, and you can see they crisscross at B. Where do line AD and plane ABFE intersect? Correct. And again, you can draw it in. Here's AD. ABFE is here. The only place they touch is A. Name any 3 non-collinear points.
A, G, H.
A, G, and
H.
sure. Anybody else want to add one?
GCF.
Okay. Any questions, guys?